People accuse me of being all this stuff. I'm none of those things. I'm just a citizen that went to a meeting and thought, this ain't right. In May of 2004, my daughter was in junior high and she went on a field trip and my husband took her, and this guy was saying how they were going to put this liquid, he called it a liquid nitrogen plant. He said it would be on the North Spit, and it was a done deal and it had been all decided in the back room. And then once I'd learned the facts, I was alarmed. I'm thinking, why would we put this here? In fact, I still to this day think this is one of the worst siting locations for an LNG terminal that I think has ever been proposed. That's my opinion, of course. Because you have this right at the end of an active airport runway. It's in an earthquake, subduction and tsunami inundation zone. It's on a sand spit, which is not a stable foundation. I just can't think of a worse place to place one of these. Plus, we're not equipped here. We have a very narrow channel, and these tankers are quite large, and I just didn't see how that would work here without having some kind of problem. I didn't really go to become an activist. I just felt like, what got me upset was I felt like they're going to permit this, and most of the people in this town don't even know what it is and have no idea about the hazards that this facility has with it. So I started out, basically I was just going to have this one meeting where I just kind of put the word out there. There's another side to the story, because I felt like if there was going to be permitting processes, people should be informed and decide. And if they wanted something like that, then that's, let the chips fall where they may. But I felt like people should not go into, not just accept this on blind faith. Well, it's really challenging on the permitting, because now that I've been through this several times, at first I did not understand it, but you have to first go find what the law is or what the local codes say. Then you have to look at their application and see if they've met that requirement or not. And they have their ways of trying to get it where you don't notice that they didn't meet something. So you have to look for that stuff, and then you have to point it out. You have to write comments. You have to give evidence to that effect. And if you're not an expert, it's good to go get an expert. I think what's kept me going over time is to see how they try to cheat to get a permit. And I guess it's something in me that if you have to do that, I mean, if your project is so great, why do you have to go to these low levels of cheating and doing what you do to get a permit? To me, that tells me right there that isn't right. And I think part of why I've stayed in this is when we realized they were doing things and thought, that's not right. You shouldn't be doing, that's not fair to the public. So there's something in me that just, it's like, I'm a fighter, if I see injustice. And I felt like that there's been a lot of injustice in part of these, the way they've done some of these processes. And, it just gotten in there and tried to expose it. So a lot of times they'll say, oh, we got this permit, but none of their permits, they don't have any permits. They've never gotten any permits. What they got was a conditional permit that they hadn't met the conditions yet. So the harder you work at it, the more harder it is for them to actually get the permit. And that's what you want. But you have to stay on it, because they're going to say, well, we've met this condition or that condition. And you've got to always be there saying, no, you didn't do that. And that's a 24/7 job, let me tell you. You have got to be paying attention to everything they're doing, and you got to remember what they were supposed to do, and maybe they try to sneak it through, that they didn't. They have after a while you learn how they hire very expensive attorneys that know how to get the permits, and you've got to just be smarter than them. And that can be challenging because you're up against some of the best. I think part of why I'm maybe more environmental now than, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't like anti-environmentalist, but I wasn't like out there trying to save. I didn't realize, I just, in the beginning of this fight, I didn't have the education that I have now. And I think part of it was, and I still have this frustration, is I'm thinking, well, somebody's protecting us, you know, we got this, we got the Coastal Zone Management Act and all that. It says preserve and protect right there in the law, you know. But then you realize, who's doing that? And then who is preserving and protecting our natural resources here for this and the next generation? I mean, you're supposed to look out for things, not just, you know, destroy all this stuff. You're supposed to protect it, especially in the coastal zone, because it's such a high value for fishing, crabbing, clamming. I mean, and we don't want to just let any people just do what they want. We have to protect some of that. And I've been frustrated because I haven't seen that. I mean, I've seen a little of it maybe, but I've seen a lot of agencies roll over when, you know, these agencies are like strapped for funds to run the agencies. We've seen this particularly in Coos County, where they depend on these companies coming in and laying the money down with these applications and stuff, so they tend to roll over and they don't want the money, you know, that they do what the money says, not what is best for the environment. You know, the more educated you get, the more you feel an obligation to try to do something, because you see what's happening, what these fossil fuels are doing to our planet, and now it's a bigger fight really than Jordan Cove. It's like we've got to do something, not just Jordan Cove. It's just one of many projects. We've got to really get out there and make the changes, and, you know, work with people across the board, whether they're environmental or conservative, and try to show them this is harming us. It's harming our planet, and it's harming us. And we've got to change, and we can change. It doesn't mean we have to do without jobs. It means we got to have different jobs. We have to have the jobs of the future, and change what we're doing. Or what I see maybe changing is, I think the way it was before, it was us and them, you know. We're over here and you're over there, and never the two will part or come together. And I think now people who were opposite, and our group has proved this, that we're totally opposite in their views, have worked together and realized we do need to work together. We do need to get off these fossil fuels. I mean, I don't know that would have happened with some of these conservative landowners if they hadn't been educated slowly about why it's important. And I think there's several of our landowners that said, you know, I would have never thought, I would have never, you know, I'd have been on the other side fighting this. And I think what maybe the environmental community has realized is you have to work with people that you don't maybe agree on everything, but work on common things you agree on, so that you can get to the goal. When we're all educated, we're all going to be doing, you know, what's best for everyone. I think that the hardest thing for me is you can't just like organize and go, okay, we're done. It's an everyday effort, because you have people coming and going, and people will get upset and they'll help you for a while, and then it's an ongoing effort all the time to keep people engaged and out there. And over time, slowly, it's like a little spark, it becomes a bigger fire. And that's kind of how I have seen it. It's a little spark at first and doesn't go very big. The flame's not very big, and then eventually, the more and more people you get educated, the bigger the impact. You know, fishing is a big industry here. Fishing, crabbing, clamming, oyster growing. All those are already seeing signs of impact, and it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. So we have to do something. We have to, you know, start right here, right now, in our own town. This town could be the example of how to do it right if people got on board, started making changes, showing that you can do energy from decentralize your energy systems. It can be done. They're doing it in other places. We could do it here and show the world how to do it. A couple years ago, we did this big hike the pipe, and these people hiked the pipe, and they came, and then they ended up in a park down here, and they canoed out and held up things to save, and said save the oysters and stuff. And I think that was, it made a news story. As far as stopping permits and stuff, I don't know that it did that, but it did give more awareness. I think you need a little bit of both maybe, so that people are, try to get people educated, there's a problem here, pay attention, and then try to get them to participate in the regulatory processes. I think as far as our group, our main focus is trying to get people to participate in the regulatory, tell them what to do, how to write comments. It's difficult for the common person to do. I think people have thought, and maybe I thought this, oh, there's some group out there and they'll be fighting this or that. You know, these groups are stretched thin. They're not out there doing all these fights. You've got to step up. People have got to protect their own areas. They can't rely on some group somewhere else to do it for them. If it's your area, you've got to step up and do it. And otherwise, you know what, there's not going to be somebody there. The money's not always there. It's not there even in the regulatory. I mean, that's the first thing they cut is they cut the funds. If the state needs to cut funds, they cut the regulatory. Well, that's where we shouldn't be cutting, because we need that protection. So that it's not there either. So people have got to realize that there's not somebody over somewhere else protecting this, protecting your area or protecting you. You've got to do it. You've got to rise up and get yourself educated and make the effort to do it. And if everybody did a little effort, the job would be done. It'd be a lot easier. Let's just put it that way.